get awkward with the topic of abortion. So, as you probably have heard, there's a big contentious issue going on across the country as it's leaked out of the Supreme Court that they might get rid of Roe versus Wade and give the abortion rights to the states up to decide. And people are in an uproar, especially the liberals. And of course, it's awkward. And I'm just curious. I'm kind of politically neutral on this, but I'm wondering if people can explain the extremes of this. Now, I am a lifelong liberal, but I'm not religious. But leftists, they're going crazy about, rights for women, all this stuff, while the right is, of course, very happy about this because they don't like to see the death of babies, which is kind of disturbing on the surface. I mean, when leftists think about this, I think it's usually the worst imagined coercion. It's going to be rape babies that they're going to be forced to have by crazy religious fundamentalist Christians. But it's a very complex issue, and it can really only be handled on a case-by-case basis, depending on the situation that's involved. Where a woman could be forced to give birth, to go through their pregnancy. They're not forced to keep the baby. They can always, of course, give it up for adoption. It's not like, well, you're pregnant and not only can you not have an abortion, now you have a financial liability to take care of that kid for the rest of your life. No, so it's not that as extreme as some people do make it out to be. And the question is, if it's a perfectly healthy baby, could it be adopted? And at what point is it wrong to say have an abortion? Is it 6 weeks when the heart begins beating? Is it 6 months, 30 days after? Because some states would like to put in a legislation that says you can terminate the pregnancy after it's born. So where do we draw the line as human beings to say what the law should or should not be? And so let's say it's an accidental birth and it's a perfectly healthy baby. Why are we going to terminate it if there's people out there that are willing to adopt it, that would like to have it? Does that make somebody selfish to terminate a pregnancy just because it's your body, your business, your choice? It's not as simple as it may seem. The ugly side of the abortion issue is that we're taking potentially healthy babies and removing them with pliers or vacuum clean. I mean, there's awful methods of removing this, and it does harm not only, of course, to the baby, which it terminates, but to the mother as well. It's halting the body's normal functioning. And why are we normalizing something like this? It should be really sad that this is a poor reflection of our culture, because you got to think at some point in the future, people are going to look back at the fucked up 2020s, and they're going to say, is this a positive or not? Was it a good idea that we sort of normalized and thought it was a great idea that it was okay to have abortions at will? Or are they going to look back and go, oh my God, those fucking savages, what were they thinking? Of course, there could be a problem if we had unwanted orphans, if we were just completely overpopulated and there was nothing that we could do with the kids and there was just a shortage of resources and we had to terminate the pregnancy just because they starve or be committed to a life of crime. I don't know. There's more complexities to an issue like this. And of course, you don't want to have, say, an idiocracy type of civilization where you just have the worst people, breeding like crazy. So maybe you could, say, incentivize sterilization at some point. Not to, you can't force people. You can't, sterilize people just because they're not the best and brightest. But maybe you could incentivize it, or they have a kid and then you give them a free vasectomy. Where do we have an intelligent conversation about what we're doing going forward, our progeny, our future generations? What kind of people do we want to put into the world? So there's arguments on both sides. I'm just trying to hear the issues. But what I could say definitively is that abortion is a pretty awful thing. I mean, it's not to make people feel guilty if they've had them. Obviously, there are reasonings, there are mistakes. It's okay. But going forward, what kind of a world do you want to live in? Who wants to watch an abortion video? No. It's going to be medically graphic, or it's going to be sad and depressing to see a poor woman go through the trauma of having to go through something like that. But of course, adoption videos people love. They're great. They're heartwarming. You know, children or animals or whatever. We all like a good adoption video. There's nothing wrong with that. But absolutely nobody wants to see an abortion video, because this is a huge issue going into the midterms. And the Democrats, liberals, progressives, whatever you want to call it, are losing their fucking mind. I don't know if they're going to be marching on the Supreme Court or if they're going to be burning cities down. And they don't really have anything else to campaign on. So this seems to be the issue that they're going to... we're all going to be fighting over this year. So I'm just wondering if there is a peaceful solution. So if you have any ideas, obviously I don't really want to talk about it, but we're all going to be forced to, whether we like it or not. So here are my contributions. Careful opening it up. Okay. I want you to read it.
I'm going to be adopted?
We love you, sweetheart. We'll always be your parents.
I love you so